Hey everybody, and welcome back to House of Grey Rabbit. I'm your host, Grey Rabbit 80, and being that this is the first actual review of the channel, I thought we'd do something that is a little bit different. And right now, the Titans Return figures are extremely hot. That's the biggest line that Transformers has put out. Other than the animated, I really cannot tell you how much I hate the animated versions of these characters. But when it comes down to it is, today we're going to talk about the Titans Return series, and the first one we're going to talk about is Sentinel Prime.
And here is Sentinel Prime in all of his radiant glory. Now, first off, let's talk about this character. Most people are going to know that this guy is the Prime before Optimus, and supposedly the one that gave him the Matrix. However, G1ers will remember that the U-Hull robot, which was now known as Sentinel Prime, gave Ultron the Matrix, and of course he rebuilt Prime and so on. But this is the Sentinel Prime we got with Titans Return. It is extremely loud in this extremely orange and red and yellow paint scheme. I think this paint scheme would have done better for some other figure, but I don't think this is the way we should. And I know they were trying to go for the yellowish gold that the character is in the comics. You will also note that I do have his two guns in the back pegs, just because this is the way you see him in the current comic books, if you go back and read them. When I first got this figure, it was the first one I ever bought, the Titans Returned, and the thing I have about it is I really had to have it because headmasters were coming back. That's what we called them when we were kids. But when I got it home, I was like, is this guy a Prime or is he Astrotrain? And I think Hasbro has a problem with, and I don't know if all collectors are like me, but they do color swaps where they will produce a figure like this and name it something, and then color swap it later to darker colors, change the whole faction, this being an Autobot, to a Decepticon, and then they'll call it something else. And it just looks like this was meant to be Astrotrain. He turns into a shuttle, and he turns into a train. He even has the wings you see from here, and I'll show you more of the figure later. But it just screams Astrotrain. And I've realized that a lot of people agree with me. And what did they do just recently this year? They re-released Sentinel Prime, recolored as Astrotrain. Now, some of the things about this figure that I'm okay with is I like its posability, I like its accessories, I do like the Headmaster sculpt is very nice, or the Titan Returns. There are some things that strike out to me, like one, the color scheme, two, the crazy head pylons that they add to all the Voyager classes, which are a pain if you get them locked down in the wrong position and you don't know how to unlock them. Also, little tiny things like the guns on his arms don't rotate. And at the same time, there's a lot of just panel turning to hide different things. It's not a bad figure. It's just flawed. Now, also, if you notice his feet, and I'll bring him in here close so you can see him, you see they're the nose of the jet form. Well, according to the instructions, his toes are actually supposed to be, let me rotate around here where you can see it. His toes are actually supposed to be this, which is the front end and back end of the train form. I like these feet better, but they're harder to make him stand with. So sometimes it's better just to go rotate the piece and lock it back down. Now, I'm going to go ahead and transform this guy so we can go see his other two forms, and we'll get back to talking about some of the other things I have about these figures. And here we have Sentinel Prime in his Cybertronian shuttle mode, and you can see the more obvious aspects of the wings and how it just seems to scream Astrotrain. The problem I have with this is that even though it looks good, it's really a kind of a crappy transformation. These are just basically his legs put together. Notice the toes. These panels flip up, and then you just turn him over. Literally, his arms are here, and they do nothing but just lay down. Now, the guns, of course, peg in on the sides. They can peg in under the wings, but the larger one here doesn't fit right, and that's because it's made to have his headmaster fit in it. And you can see how the headmaster folds up to become his head. Now, these things, headmasters, when I was a kid, were a lot kind of chunkier, and they were easier to use. These Headmasters seem to be really tough to take out. And I want to make sure you get that in frame there where you can see it. He can, when you turn him, of course, into his robot form, he can sit, and he can ride inside the cockpit here. He can also ride on this gun if you turn the gun upside the right way up. Now, I don't want to say it. I don't want people to think that I'm hating on this figure. Like, it's a really nice figure. It was one of the first ones that came out with it in my area, and it was the first one that I bought. It's just it has just that little bit of inconsistency, and I don't like the fact that I don't mind simple transformations, but this one is just a little bit wonky. I mean, obviously it's a shuttle. It looks like a Cybertronian shuttle. It's shaped like a Cybertronian shuttle, but when you turn it over, it's literally, you can see his chest right there. There's his arms. And they're just these panels that fold up to hide the legs. That's all it is. Now, like I said, I don't want to hate on it because it does have another form. We'll watch that in just a minute. But I just think they didn't try really well in this one. Like the Alpha Trion, they really tried on. This one, it's a little bit wonky. So now we're gonna go ahead and change into our third form, and I'll let you guys see it. And here is our Cybertronian battle train. But does this look like a train? I'm not sure what this looks like. If you notice, it's very skinny. We basically have the robot version of the splits. The arms actually pegged down onto this other structure, which to me finally made the arms look like they work. Once again, the Headmaster can still fit inside the cockpit, which is here. And I guess, you know, for aesthetic reasons, you could leave the fins down, stabilizers or whatever you want to call them. But bump the camera there, sorry. I mean, it does have a menacing train-like look. And you can still see the panels that are blocking off the rest of the leg structure and so on. And it's not bad, but it's just kind of a weak third form. Once again, train, shuttle, astro train. You see where I'm coming from finally? This is the point. You can still peg the guns in here. You can also peg the guns up here, and basically that's it in this form. It's not bad, but it's not really good.
All in all, Sentinel Prime is a good figure. But when I bought him, like I reiterated earlier, he just seemed like Astro Train. I mean, he looks like Astro Train. From the moment I took him out of the box, I said, this guy should not be a Prime. He should be Astro Train. And then what happened, of course? Less than a year later, they recolor him as Astro Train. Hasbro has this way of just like making a mold and then turning around and just turning it into something else just for the aspect of saving money. And to me, that's just cheap. I mean, I come from an era where every single character had its own thing. And I know you're going to sit there and say, like, all the Seekers were, you know, different colors, and it was just basically Starscream 5 billion times. And I give you that. And there were some, you know, recolors of certain figures. But they do it with every single one. And it just makes a collector like me mad, because after I bought it, I would have much rather bought it when it was Astro Train. So, all in all, I'm going to give the figure a 7.5 out of 10. If you agree with me, say something down in the comments. And remember to subscribe and check back all the time for our new videos. We'll be seeing you guys.